So Marvel's Spider-Man PS4 game is out! And so, finally, is the soundtrack by John Paesano, which I'm going to review right now. So the PS4 Spider-Man game has already received rave reviews, calling it the Spider-Man game that we've been waiting, blowing away all the other competition. But I haven't seen quite so much love for the soundtrack. But John Paesano brings an adventurous, heroic, motivational score to this game. Full disclosure, I haven't actually played the game, I don't have a PS4, but I have seen walkthroughs of all of it, so I know exactly what happens. Oh, and FYI, there might be some spoilers ahead, so turn away now if you really care about that. Okay? We good? I'll continue. It's on a cinematic scale, Marvel cinematic, but still feels unique to this Spidey. Someone online said that it was like Danny Elfman, James Horner, Hans Zimmer and Michael Giacchino came together to write it, and I couldn't agree more. It has its moments where it lends itself to these composers, but it still feels like John Paesano really gives something of himself to it, and it certainly feels like he's breaking new ground with his game scoring. I think the main theme gives us the adventure and the adrenaline, but it also gives us the introspection that Paesano said that this theme for this new, mature Peter Parker needs. And the wide open space and the mixing with its use of reverb perfectly reflects the huge expanse that you can explore in this city skyline. And what I found particularly good was the use of high energy cues when you're going to your next mission or swinging through Manhattan, and more calm and moving cues when you're sat at the top of Avengers Tower, say, looking out over New York's menu. Even the pause menu theme feels like you're outside of time and space a bit. It takes the main motifs of the game and processes them and just blends them into loads of synths to create this gorgeous soundscape. And okay, some of the fight scene cues aren't that distinctive, but then I guess that's just one of the limitations of gameplay scoring. If you've got to repeat a section over and over again because of all these possible outcomes, then you can't really have a big sweeping melody. There's a really nice smooth synth arpeggiac sequence that underpins every scene that happens in Dr. Otto's lab, and I think it really sort of harks back to the sci-fi undertones of the Amazing Spider-Man films. Renewed rivalries plays during the boss fight with Scorpion, and again it really uses space and reverb and echo to tell the story of what's happening on screen. At this point, Peter's hallucinating and he's picturing New York drowning. It really emphasises the emptiness of the city that we're seeing here and Peter's inevitable loneliness. The breakthrough, which plays when Dr. Otto finally has some success with his work, really nicely just paints the joy of this scene, but it also draws on a trepidation that the player definitely feels at this point if they know anything about what happens in the comics. Responsibility, which plays at the end of the story after Peter has had to make a heartbreaking decision, again has that sort of common sad piano sound, but it's also got that rising and falling sequence that you hear in the main theme, and then it gradually brings it in and then brings it out again every so often, like it's something calling him back to his heroic work. And Behind the Mask provides a really bright and hopeful tone to the post-credit scenes, particularly the one where Miles shares his new powers with Peter. It very nicely sets up an inevitable sequel. But this whole soundtrack in general just brings another level of cinematic to even just the simplest of things like sneaking around as Peter or MJ or even Miles. And because of the realism of the graphics and I'm told the intuitiveness of the gameplay, having a huge big cinematic score like this just makes you feel like Spider-Man himself, and like you are in an actual Spider-Man movie being Spider-Man. And ultimately I guess that probably was its purpose, to tell the story and to make you feel like Spider-Man. The advert said, "Be greater." It is telling you to be Spider-Man. And the soundtrack really helps it. And the only drawbacks in the end are the moments where the gameplay format just quenches the distinctiveness of the score, or makes it harder to pin down a particular cue at the exact moment. In fact, John Paesano said himself that when he was playing it back, he didn't actually recognise a lot of his cues because it was being determined by how he was playing it, which as soundtrack buffs makes it incredibly difficult for us, but in the end it does its purpose brilliantly well. So I want to know, guys, have you played this game? What did you think of the soundtrack? And the game as well. I really enjoyed watching people play it, and I'm not the biggest gamer in the world. Tell me your thoughts down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and share it with anyone else you think might enjoy it. And if you're new here, it would be amazing to have you subscribe so you can get even more reviews, more behind the scenes stuff, and more incredible stories of the importance of music and film.